All right, Danny, you have to talk into your microphone.
Testing. 1, 2.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to be talking that softly.
Microphone.
Okay, perfect. You're the middle one. I'm the bottom. Emily's the top.
That's right.
A Danny sandwich.
It's a Danny sandwich. All right, let me do my intro real quick. Welcome to Rachel Uncensored, the only place on the internet you can find an uncensored version of me. In this podcast, we just talk about whatever we want with whomever we want. And today, I'm going to do something I probably shouldn't do, which is give a cis white man a microphone. So, everyone, please welcome my friend, Danny.
I have stuff in my face.
Starting off strong.
Hello. My name is Danny.
Emily is also with us this evening because this episode, they want to talk about conspiracy theories. Now, I don't really look into conspiracy theories. I take facts as facts, and then I go, if it has to do with politics or religion, I'm like, there's money behind something. And we're probably not getting the whole story, but you guys like conspiracies about anything else?
Anything else?
Well, you guys, I don't know. I could be like penguins, and one of you would have a conspiracy theory. Oh, Emily said yes.
I want to eat a penguin. I want to eat penguin.
All right, podcast
Wow,
is over. That was it. You're done, buddy.
You want to eat a penguin?
So duck is delicious. Duck is a dark meat.
What?
And you're a vegetarian.
Yeah, I don't eat the meat.
Well, never mind.
I did.
You eat fish.
I eat fish
and
chicken.
So think about how delicious like something that constantly eats fish would be all the time.
It just seems like it'd be like rubbery and fatty.
Yeah, it does seem really fatty.
I just think that there's like such a surplus of them that it wouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean?
Are you
like,
allowed to eat penguin?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Do you know anyone who has?
I don't. I do not.
Danny is a free lobster. What do you call it?
Do I look in?
Yeah,
okay.
that's a camera. You can look at it.
All nautical terminology will be explained at the end of the show.
No.
And an edit that Emily will do.
No, I'm immediately just going to ask what every time you say something I don't know.
I live on a boat,
that's true.
I free dive for lobster.
Yep.
And I do get a significant amount of lobster every year. Free diving is tankless with just a snorkel and a weight belt. And so you take a deep breath and you dive down.
How long can you hold your breath for? Whoa! No.
Bad dogs.
Yeah.
You want to put her cover over her face?
Yeah.
Thank you.
2 minutes and 45 seconds is my static breath hold limit right now. And then ballistic is your... so when you practice breath holds, you do static breath holds in like a pool, stationary, just right below the surface, and you just kind of practice holding your breath. And then ballistic is the movement. And so you kind of gauge the depth that you can go for how long based off of your static. So at 245, cut that in half, and that's about my ballistic dive down to depth.
So you go under the water for like a minute and a half?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Same.
I can maybe go under for like 8 seconds. So watch out.
Mom, watch this. Mom, time me.
I get so panicky underwater.
Yeah.
I plug my nose when I jump in.
Oh my God.
Well, you got to get past that.
I have no desire to free dive. But what I do know about Danny is he has a giant fear of sharks.
Ginormous.
And Emily believes in megalodons. I don't even know what that is.
Yes, you do. Come on.
Is that
the giant great whites that used to exist in the prehistoric age, right?
I think so. I think they said that they died off like 4 million years ago.
All right,
which
so not that long.
Is not that long ago in the
grand scheme.
My God. Emily has found her match.
And
So you gotta talk into your microphone. This is your buddy.
Hello, testing. This got to be right up in my mustache.
Yeah, it does.
Right up, all up in there.
He's just rubbing the microphone on his stash.
Is this where I need? Is this better?
It's stash ASMR.
No,
Okay, I'll
you
give
have
it a
face pubes.
I'll give it a.
You know that's what that is. Is face
Fuck
pubes. You have pubes growing out of your face.
Don't say that. My girlfriend loves it. By the way,
No,
my
she
girlfriend
doesn't.
absolutely loves my.
She wants you to trim your mustache so bad.
Well, Tough Titty said the kitty when the milk went dry.
But you just lied.
It was a fib. So It's for the viewers, you know?
On national television.
So you've seen what Summer does when she says, "This is what it's like when he kisses me," and what she does with her hair.
No, I haven't seen this.
You haven't seen that? Where
No.
she grabs her hair and she crosses her face with it.
Oh.
No.
You do it right now. So grab your hair and then now put it over in front of your face, in front of your lips, and she goes, "This is what it's like to kiss me."
That sounds terrible. Yeah, how do you kiss?
Well, her hair smells great, and I think it's wonderful.
But like your hair is always in the middle of your kissing. How do you make out, bro?
Unless she goes like this,
Oh no.
No.
and then we kiss.
Is it not? Is it making out more enjoyable without that in your face?
There's other things that are more enjoyable with a mustache, but
Is that also a fib, Danny?
I think that's also
some
a
women.
Some women.
Some women
Yours, though?
are in. Some women are into a more masculine-looking man with a mustache.
Okay.
I'm not saying my girlfriend is, but I enjoy my mustache. And think about this. Let me hit you with something here. Let's say you're dating a guy, and
I don't care if you have a mustache. I was just saying you were lying about Summer.
Well, I'm just saying, like, let's change the narrative here, and let's say that you're dating a guy, and then the guy
Ew.
says to you,
Gross.
Well, if you played for that team, I would say if you were dating a guy, and he said to you, I don't like your hair long, I want you to trim it to your ears, you would probably say,
tough titties.
I would say tough titties, but also there needs to be a logical reason. Summer likes to kiss you, and your hair makes that not happen.
So megalodons are 60-foot sharks that used to exist and they dominated the ocean. And they were anywhere from like 60 to 80 feet long.
If they dominated the ocean, then why don't they live still?
The food supply disappeared.
Man came along, wiped out the ocean, overhunted whales.
Wait, were they still alive when people were still alive?
I thought this was 4 million years ago.
Yeah.
Your math ain't math.
My math ain't math.
Okay, I was a little confused. I was like, I'm pretty sure they died off a long time ago.
I was making a joke that because men are destroying the ocean, but
Well, yes, men are. Yes,
but that was a joke. So like 4 million years ago, these creatures existed, and we know that they were there because of the teeth they left behind, right? So you have these
Massive.
bigger than my hand sized teeth.
Gross.
And,
he's got big hands.
there's a really good book. You can get it on audio. And so when I was a kid, we would go on family trips and we would listen to this book on audio. It was called The Meg, and it was what the movie was based upon. The movie that came out with Jason Statham.
Yeah.
It's nothing like the book. Except for the very beginning where they explore the Marianas Trench, which is the deepest part that we know of the ocean today. And they encounter a megalodon, and then it's and I don't want to ruin the book for you, but it rises up to the surface from the research that they were doing. It found a hot pocket, it got through, and then it got to the surface and caused chaos. But the book is super, super awesome, and I think you would really enjoy it.
I would enjoy it.
So these don't exist anymore.
Well,
So that's the conspiracies. You guys think they still exist?
that's that. So there's a couple things here. If a organism that size were to still exist today, it would obviously be a deep sea creature at this point, and it would have to have a food source large enough and plentiful enough to sustain a thriving population, right? So one thing that we do know of now, the ocean is the creepiest fucking place.
Yes, it's disgusting.
When you go
I don't
down,
trust it.
when you go down deep into the dark, right? Then you get into where the sea monsters live, right? And
Yeah.
so the one thing that we do know about the ocean is that
Giant squids.
Giant squid. Now, the only evidence that giant squid existed for the longest time was the suction cup scarring on sperm whales and the beaks when a sperm whales eat and live and thrive off of giant squid. So we know that they're there because when we dissect sperm whales, what's left behind in their stomach, and they can't pass them or digest them, are the beaks of giant squid.
Whoa. Squids have beaks?
Squids have beaks. Squids have gnarly, gnarling beaks They're big. They're like huge.
Mm-hmm.
Are they birds?
Kind of looks like a bird.
It kind of looks like a bird.
It's really
beak.
sharp.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, what
yeah.
a squid looks like? It's like the long thing with the thingies on the
It
end.
has 10 arms. They're giant. Their arms. So like squid get up to like.
Octopus is round with the 8 legs. Jellyfish is a mushroom with lots of flowy legs.
Don't even get started on octopus.
Squid,
like octopus, their DNA we cannot figure out.
They're aliens.
They are aliens. Their like you can take the DNA of a grasshopper and trace it back to where evolutionarily it stemmed off of the branch and it became an organism. Octopus don't. We can't figure out where their DNA comes from.
So I've heard the conspiracy, I think probably from one of you two, that an octopus is an alien, it came to Earth and like lived in the ocean. Emily's saying yes. I heard it from her.
Yeah. If you think about it, like back when the Earth was just this blob of lava and water, and there's a theory that us as the most intelligent species on the planet, so like in space you have comets, you have debris, you have biology that survives in space. You have bacteria, you have organisms, right? Mm-hmm. And it's on like a very, very microscopic level, but it's there. And so there's many theories that, that a bacteria covered rock from somewhere out in the existence of space was on orbit and crash landed in the ocean. And that was how a lot of certain life began. Octopus is one of them.
That bacteria mixed with water made an octopus.
Yeah.
Science.
Yeah.
I figured it out.
Science.
I solved the conspiracy.
It's like instant pancakes. You just add water.
Yeah, just add water and a little salt.
Add water and a little locomotion from the moon.
Yeah.
And now you have a cocktail swirling, and then things happen.
Well, because Summer was saying the reason that she thinks octopi. Octopuses?
It's octopus, octopi, octopuses. It's
all grammatically correct.
They have their own pronouns.
I love that.
It's all correct.
Okay. I heard nope. I heard the theory. Summer's theory is the reason that they don't live very long is because they have the alien DNA and they haven't been able to evolve in order to survive on Earth.
It wasn't until I saw the documentary My Octopus Teacher, which is on Netflix, I think.
I don't know.
But either way, it's amazing. And it's a documentary about this guy who becomes friends with an octopus and he swims with it, and octopus only live for like 3 years. Even like the big ones, they die.
What?
That's the lifespan of an octopus.
That's like a hamster.
Yeah, and so like this octopus, he documents the whole thing. Like octopus have feelings, like they're sensitive,
they're really smart.
They're emotional, and that's why I think they're so delicious.
Dude, you're so wrong in so many ways right now. Not in the taste of octopi, but in the feelings of it. Dude.
I think the smarter the organism, the tastier it is. Look at bacon.
So you want to eat a human?
Look at bacon.
Dude,
I don't want to eat a human. I don't want to eat a human. Hear me out. Okay, so like the smarter the organism, the more delicious it tastes. Octopus is wonderful. Bacon is like one of the most prized possessions on the planet. Pigs are smarter. Smart. They're smarter than dogs.
Pigs are really smart.
And what are smarter than both of them combined? Dolphin. And there are many parts of the world where dolphin is.
Have you eaten dolphin?
I have not eaten dolphin.
Okay.
Would I eat dolphin?
Yes, I know.
If I'm just saying, if it was there,
I've seen the slaughter videos of that. It's not
horrible.
cute.
It's the worst.
But I mean, listen, if one washed up ashore and was like, I'm dying, and then you did a mercy kill and then you tasted some of that, I wouldn't be mad at you. I wouldn't join you, but I wouldn't be mad at you.
Yeah. I've been making a lot of jokes tonight about, eating all of these things, and it's mostly a joke, but if the opportunity presented itself, like you said.
Dude, if you became a billionaire, you'd eat people.
I would not eat people.
Just
I might eat
person.
A person.
One and done kind of situation.
One and done. Just to try it out. I don't know. I mean, you can't knock it till you try it.
You really think that
the smarter the organism, the more delicious it tastes. I've proven my point, and I don't think anybody can dispute it.
So you think vegetables taste gross?
I do like cheese-covered broccoli.
Cheese-covered?
I do. There are certain vegetables I do like, but I am not a vegetarian. Plants have feelings too. Maybe you're the bully.
Oh,
okay.
You heard it here first.
Maybe you're the bully.
Mine aren't smart. What I eat ain't smart.
I'm
You're
not,
eating
not
smart
yet.
things.
The way mycelium interacts in the soil, which is so like if you really want to get down to brass tacks on the intelligence of plants, let's look at fungal growth and how plants exist. So without,
You're not gonna convince me.
I'm
not gonna.
without,
I'm just
so
gonna.
my
You're gonna look at a dog.
my mycelium is the network that fungi uses in the forest, in the ground, in the farmlands. Without mycelium, without fungi, you don't have any plants to eat.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there are more connections of mycelium than there are in the human brain.
Okay. That doesn't.
They are
mean
thinking. They are thinking. There is thought that's going on. When a certain tree is suffering from certain nutrient deficiencies through the mycelium, the trees that surround them will send that nutrients through the mycelium to aid that tree.
Trees
So if
don't
we're
have
saying that that's not
families.
sentient,
They don't have a heartbeat. They don't have souls.
they don't have a heart in the sense that you're thinking of a heart, but they do have feelings and they react.
They have like nerve feelings.
It's all how you want to quantify what it means to be alive.
You're not gonna tell me that eating a grape is the same thing as eating a dog.
I'm just saying everything has its place in the world, and where you draw the line is up to you.
I'm
It's up
not
to
saying
you.
you're a bad person for eating meat.
I'm not saying you're a bad person for eating a vegetable.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I'm talking about you thinking things taste better when they're smarter.
I'm saying that there's a commonality,
Okay.
and
I can't test your theory.
I can, and you used to, right?
I used to.
Right? Isn't bacon's delicious?
I could never eat bacon.
Well,
I
if
liked
you brought
bacon.
my girlfriend on this podcast, she would say bacon is the prized possession of her life.
I always liked bacon by itself, extra crispy. I hated when it was like floppy or in burgers.
Oh,
And then it was just soggy. I want a crispy bacon.
I love bacon. Bacon
Oh.
is delicious.
Before we move on to anything else, we're going to check to see if we have a sponsor for today. Sponsor! Hinge is our sponsor for today. Hinge is the dating app that believes anyone looking for love should be able to find it. It's actually the dating app my therapist recommended to me when she wanted me to start dating again, and it's actually where I met my girlfriend, Abby. I'm not someone who looks for hookups and I hate small talk. I want to meet someone to form an actual relationship and truly get to know them. I was only on Hinge 3 days and then I met the love of my life. I truly love that they are trying to be more available and helpful to the LGBTQIA+ community, and they want to help our community navigate the complicated world of dating. So Hinge is bringing you not so frequently asked questions. It's answers to LGBTQIA+ questions not talked about enough. This is so important because according to recent surveys, 80% of LGBTQIA+ daters on Hinge struggle to find resources to help them date. And you can even submit your own questions through the website. To learn more and hear different perspectives on these not so frequently asked questions, go to hinge.nfaq.co. That's hinge, hinge.nfaq.co. All right. Let's get back to a conspiracy and not just debating on what tastes good.
Megalodons.
Megalodons. So we became aware. Well, back to what it would take to sustain megalodons, right? So giant squid. We know that they're there because of the beaks that they leave behind, which cannot be digested in sperm whale bellies.
Okay.
And furthermore, the suction cup scarring that they leave on the side of these sperm whale, they're like the size of dinner plates. And so before we even caught one, before we even knew that they were there was evidence of them there before we even had physical, or not physical proof, but like before you have like a live specimen. You know?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the late 90s or early 2000s that a drag netter or a gill netter in Japan pulled one up, and this thing was fucking massive.
Yeah, I
and
saw
so
that picture.
then we were like, this isn't like measuring the suction cups on at the beak. We're like, we know these things get to like 60 feet long, right?
Ooh.
And squid is like one of the most abundant. There are so many squid. Squid and jellyfish are like predicted to take over the ocean after like humans wipe each other out.
Really?
Yeah, jellyfish and squid.
What do they feed on?
Each other. They eat other things. They eat other organisms.
Well, won't it be like the megalodons where they run out of
so
food source?
if the megalodons were real, they would be surviving on giant squid.
Okay.
And we know that there's enough of them to sustain a sperm whale population at the surface. So, and imagine, just like what you said, what does it take to sustain an organism that large at that depth?
Yeah.
There's an ecosystem down there we haven't even discovered. The ocean is the most mysterious place to us. So there's enough of a food source for 60 to 80 foot giant squid to exist, right?
There's a whole other world going on down there that we have
whole
no
nother
idea
world going
about.
on down there. So the idea that megalodons could be real.
That's what I'm saying. Well, and we were just talking about this the other day, that the scientists in this one area of the ocean, they thought they had measured out using what's it called? Sonar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they thought they had measured out the bottom of the ocean floor, and then they went to go remeasure it, because science, and it moved, and they're like, that's not right.
It was a false step.
It was a false step. It was a wall of fish. This wall of fish at the bottom, quote unquote, bottom of the ocean was so dense and so packed together, they literally thought it was the bottom of the ocean. And so then they figured out they could pierce through the wall of fish, and the ocean went down like another half mile or something. So it's like,
there's so many fish.
There's so many fish, and there's so much mystery down there. And
Yeah.
then I love talking about how we started a whole science program, like a government funded program to explore the ocean back, was it like in the 80s? No, it was before space exploration. So it was in the early 60s.
Okay, yeah.
The government diverted all of this money and had this huge budget to go explore the ocean. And they got maybe 2 years into it. And then for some reason they dropped it and they transferred that money to NASA and they started the space race instead. And so, of course, it's like a lot of people think they started the space race because they wanted to beat the Russians to the moon. And, we needed to be patriotic. But then a lot of people are saying something scared them so bad that they're like, okay, we have to find a way to get off the planet. And so that's why they started space exploration.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like
That's a conspiracy.
Right.
That is a conspiracy.
That is a conspiracy. That is a conspiracy for sure.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think they would move a little faster if something actually scared them.
You would think.
Or they were just like, we can't really go down there. It was maybe easier to go up than it was down, and they wanted to prove something.
Yeah.
Also, why did we have to beat Russia to the moon?
Patriotism.
Patriotism.
Because we're better than the
What?
the
Really?
comrades.
Does putting a flag down a year earlier really mean that much?
Yeah.
This is America.
What? That doesn't
This
that
is
doesn't do
America.
anything for me.
America.
America.
Stop it. White man.
Gotta mark our flag and claim it for our own. That's its manifest destiny, but in space.
Do
you
you
know
guys
what I mean?
you're both conspiracy theorists. Do you guys believe that the moon landing was real?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I could see how they would think it's not because of the whole waving flag. That's the big argument that non moon landing people believe is they're like, well, if there's no wind, if there's no atmosphere on the moon, which means there's no wind, how could the American flag in the video they took be waving because there's no wind? But then I researched it, and NASA specially developed a stiff flag that when they threw it up in the air, they knew they could capture the footage of it waving before it dropped again.
Well, there is gravity on the moon too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There is a gravitational pull. So any waving fabric or any fabric that would move, just jostling it.
Yeah, but nothing to keep it up.
Nothing to keep it up.
Yeah.
So the whole moon. We fucking landed on the moon.
We
landed on the moon.
America. We
The-
landed on
the
the
reason
moon.
the reason why most people don't think that we landed on the moon is because we only did 13 Apollo missions and we never went back.
Because there was nothing else to
And-
explore there.
And also
It's
there
just
was
a hop, skip, and a jump away.
That's what I'm
It's not
saying.
that impressive.
Boring.
yeah, and I think from the research that I did on it, we lost a lot. So we thought we were never going back, and we lost a lot of that archive information.
I have seen that.
Of how we got there.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the conspiracy theorists believe in is they're like, well, how did we lose all of this information once people started asking questions if the moon landing was actually real or not? All of the information went missing. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it went missing.
Because we didn't need it anymore. I mean, we were there, we did
Right.
it, and then we were like, we're moving
I was
on.
just like, do you know how many government documents get lost every single day? And no one notices until there's a conspiracy theorist that comes running along and they're like, where's the proof? This is just
that's a big upkeep. That's a lot of filing systems.
Yeah.
But thank God we have minds like Elon Musk who are just taking us back there. You know. I think that the reason why we have because we're going back, right?
Right.
You heard that? Like
Yes.
we're going back. We're sending an unmanned craft back to the moon.
Yeah.
But Trump, devil, started Space Force, right?
Yeah. Why?
And
I talked to some ROTC kids, and they're like, no one knows what it is.
No.
They're like, it's like we have friends in it, and they don't even know what they're
Dick
doing.
measuring contest.
it's not. It's because they're aware of. They've received transmissions. It's very, very top secret stuff. They are aware now. You know, like think about our technological
So you think
advances.
that during the Trump administration we got wind of aliens?
I think it was before that, but I think Trump was the one who was like, "I'm gonna big dick this. We know it's there. We're gonna fucking start Space Force."
Why help the homeless?
You know what I mean?
Let's
Yeah,
just
why
go.
help
Why
the
help?
people here?
Why help the homeless when there's a greater threat? You know what I mean? Like there's a threat out there, possibly we don't know.
An
we need to be ready.
unverified threat.
An unverified threat. We need to be ready for.
So what
it.
are we doing? What are they doing?
Nobody
Creating
really
missiles?
knows.
Lasers?
It's Space Force. So
Lasers.
think Marines, but in outer
Think
space.
megalodons
You know what I mean?
with lasers attached to their
Oh
heads.
my God.
This is Sharknado all over again.
It's Sharknado all over again. Well, you heard about the whale that they found in the Amazon, right?
What?
So if we're talking about Sharknado,
I
so-
love Sharknado.
Yeah.
and this is a good one, and you guys need to look it up. They found a whale like miles into the forest of the Amazon,
Like a carcass?
like a full fucking whale that was just there. It was dead. It had recently just died, and it was
Like it traveled through a river?
no.
It was
No.
on land.
Like, so the theory is that either a cyclone picked it up, a water spout picked it up and launched it. A whale or a tidal wave. Nobody knows. There's no tire marks around it. There's no nothing.
I was going to say maybe it was on a transport truck or
found
something.
a whale
What?
miles
What?
into
When
the
was
Amazon.
this?
You gotta look this
What
up.
was this?
You gotta look this up.
TikTok
This
didn't
was
tell me
a lot.
about
I think this was before TikTok.
Oh.
Do we
see the
not
gray
have
in my beard?
constant cameras in the space
Yeah.
filming everything that happens on the Earth?
They don't log it. You can like access cameras, except there's like one place on Earth you're not allowed to access, but you
Which
can.
is over Antarctica.
Yeah.
Because
Oh my God, I have no idea what this.
There's a top secret government facility on Antarctica.
that or the Earth is hollow, and Antarctica is the entrance to.
It really
the
is.
hollow.
It really is.
What are you saying?
There's a big group of scientists that truly believe inside the Earth is another Earth type Earth, like a livable area
Yeah.
to live inside. Because, we don't actually, I just learned this a few months ago. We don't actually know what's inside the Earth. I thought we had drilled all the way down, the little diagrams you see in science class where the little yellow balls in the middle where it's like magma. We've never been able to drill magma. We've never been able to actually drill all the way down. So we don't know with 100% certainty what is all the way down inside. And so there's this whole group of scientists and this big conspiracy movement that there's another Earth inside the Earth.
Why don't we go to there then?
Because all the government people are keeping it for themselves for when the Earth self-destructs, is the theory.
No, I don't think so.
You heard it here. It's untrue. Rachel Ballinger says so.
Got it.
There
There's also
has to be a better reason.
there's
Yeah,
an eighth continent
Oh, I saw that.
that they so like even our satellites aren't allowed to go over the North Pole, right?
Okay.
It's like no man's land. Like no one's allowed to go over there and take pictures of it. Nothing, right?
Okay.
And so this refers back to so you've heard of the theory of giants, right?
No.
You haven't? You've
I
heard
have-
of the
I don't
so
hear
so
any of
giants.
this
so
stuff
this
ever.
so like the last biblical reference to giants was David and Goliath,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So Goliath was a giant, right? And so
I thought it was just like metaphorical.
it's supposed to be metaphorical. Other people who are like, hardcore Bible thumpers, they think that it's literal, right?
Okay.
And so all across all cultures, there's two constants. There's giants and dragons.
Oh, dude, dragons were real.
So
I wholeheartedly believe dragons were real, and you can't convince me otherwise.
But this is the best one. I did a deep dive on it, and not that I believe it, but you see something, you go down a tangent, you go down the rabbit hole, you're like, this intrigues me. I'm going to see where this leads, you know?
I have no attention span to research anything.
I'll sit there for hours.
This is where, redheads descended from the giants. And this is a biblical reference. And the theory is that the giants who existed came out of that eighth continent where the center of how you get to the center of the earth, where the other society is, the other like plane of existence, right? The giants came out of it. Goliath was one of them, and that's how we got redheads, was from the giants, because they were all redheads.
Okay, so you're
so much information to process.
It's a lot.
So redheads came from giants.
Redheads came from giants.
So the giants fornicated with regulars, and then we made...
And that's how we got redheads.
Made redheads,
yeah.
okay. Giants came from the center of the earth.
Giants came from the center of the earth.
And we know this because of the Bible.
Yes.
Okay, I'm caught up to speed on conspiracy theories. All seems to check out.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when faced with a challenge in life. But when you learn how to find your own solutions, there are no better feelings. And a therapist can help you become a problem solver. I've been in therapy for years now, and I absolutely love it. And my therapist is really big on not just giving me the answers, but helping me learn how to find the answers on my own. I'm not someone who just wants to figure out why I feel a certain way. I want to learn how to solve the problems. And that is what therapy can help tremendously with. So if you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. You can get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time. Sometimes it takes a few to figure out the right one for you. So when you want to become a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/RU today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/R and the letter U.
And there's another one. Do you think that the Titanic sank?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think the Titanic sank?
There's footage of it.
So there's
What do you think happened?
Oh, no. The Queen's Mary or Queen's Elizabeth or whatever it was.
There was the I had.
Dude, there were like people that survived it.
There were there's two theories as to what happened with the Titanic. One of them is the Titanic didn't actually sink. They flip-flopped the names to the Olympic. There was 3 sister ships that were built pretty much identical to the Titanic, and the one that sank was they had flip-flopped the names. There were so J.P. Morgan was the person who owned the company that built the Titanic, right?
Okay.
And we all know who J.P. Morgan is.
He owns Chase Bank.
So I don't think that they flip-flopped the names, but I think the Titanic was sunk purposely.
Dude, so many people died.
Exactly. So they didn't have enough life rafts on board to hold everybody, right?
Yeah.
And what happened was J.P. Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic crossing. Last minute, he canceled his spot. He didn't go. And who was on the boat? You have 3 main people. There were 3 competitors to J.P. Morgan who were multimillionaires, like he was, who opposed the his plan to start a Federal Reserve.
Okay.
He killed them.
So J.P. Morgan killed thousands of people.
J.P. Morgan, yes, it's the perfect crime. If you want to murder 3 people, you do it in a crowd. Right? You don't take down 3 specific targets. You take down.
Has to be
you make a disaster happen.
A terrible human being, soulless, to kill children and women and men for
Well,
to just
we've discussed that all billionaires
So
are soulless.
they were
That's
they
true.
were they were the three people, I forget their names, but they were the three main competitors who controlled the European banking system. And the Rothschilds were also in cahoots with JP Morgan, the family of the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
And so and we all know the Rothschilds do all kinds of crazy shit. Like
I have no idea who you're talking about. I don't look into anything ever.
So these are the people who control our Federal Reserve, the families today, the heirs to what they started, right?
Okay.
They control inflation, they control the market, they control everything. It's all
I feel like I wanted to discuss things with them.
The Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank that controls the public's money.
This seems wrong. I don't understand this.
So what happened was JP Morgan wanted to start a privately owned Federal Reserve that didn't exist at the time.
Okay.
And his competitors were in opposition of his idea. And so what did he do with the Rothschilds? The Rothschilds provided them the passage, offered them on the biggest, fastest ship that the world had ever seen, got them on the boat. Last minute, JP Morgan pulls out
and then
sinks the fucking boat.
How
knowing that men were not going to make it onto the life rafts because there weren't enough of them. Women and children would be first. Men would stay behind. So he sunk the boat.
How did he sink it?
Because
people saw the iceberg.
So there's this theory splits off in a couple different directions. He either had like a sleeper agent on the boat who was one of the crew, because the captain obviously wasn't driving the ship. He went down with the ship, but other people under his employment, they could have had one guy,
was okay with dying.
That was well, no, he could have had an exit plan. He could have been like, okay, like we got this one boat you're gonna get on, if I can run it into a fucking iceberg and then get off the boat.
One person ran an entire ship into an iceberg.
One person did steer the wheel and did run it into an iceberg. One person was responsible for the ship crashing into an iceberg.
It's been historically proven, like this is not a conspiracy, it's fact, that there was a transmission. What's the
Morse code.
No, the telegraph. Were they telegraphs? Called telegraph.
I forget.
But yeah, using Morse code. There was a ship ahead of them that was like maybe like 6 or 8 hours ahead of them, and they saw the iceberg, and they sent a telegraph or whatever the DDDs are to the Titanic. But the guy that was supposed to be in charge and round the clock and receiving the messages, he went to bed early because he got in a fight with his wife. So he went to bed early and missed the message, and he could have stopped well, not according to your conspiracy, but
could have aided in saving.
Yeah, if he just hadn't gone to bed, but he went to bed because he was mad, and like the whole
you can't clock out because of anger,
right?
Okay, so what was the other theories of how they sunk the boat?
The other theories was
ship. Is it a ship? Is it a boat? What's the difference?
It's a ship.
It's a ship.
And the other theory is that there were issues with the material that they built the ship. Rivets was how they sheeted the steel, and they used faulty rivets, and they overloaded because this was a coal burning engine.
Okay.
And so with the coal burning, like you can only handle so much of a fuel source at one time before you overheat everything. And what heat does to metal is it makes it malleable, right? So where the compartments of the engines were, the night that they knew they were going to run it into something, they overloaded it with coal. And this is a very sound theory, and you can look all this shit up.
Okay.
They overloaded the compartments because there was a big push to have it be the fastest ship. They wanted to break the record, right? And so how do you break the record? You push the limits of whatever craft you're in, right?
With a bunch of children and women on board, okay.
We're talking about the people who, we're talking about like Illuminati shit. We're talking about the people
soulless billionaires.
People who have so much fucking money and control the entire system. The Rothschilds, the JP Morgan.
So you believe in
family.
the Illuminati? Beyonce's not going to come kick down the door. I
don't think that there's a society of brethren out there who are like sacrificing children and drinking their blood.
Same.
I don't think that it's that extreme, but the idea that
billionaires run the world.
Right? And do you think they don't fucking have meetings and meet up or Skype each other or
Yeah,
some shit?
Skype.
Right? So like
they choose who politically goes into power.
that's what I'm so do you
like,
believe in the Illuminati?
And I'm saying I believe in your sense of like they're not a group that gets together in cloaks and sacrifices the firstborn of some human, but
Right.
I do believe that billionaires control the world. They control what you see in the media. They control who's in politics. They do control all that.
Yeah.
So if that's the Illuminati, then sure, but I don't think they have like secret little pins and handshakes that they do.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely secret handshakes, but I don't think
Well.
that, it's like there's like a we're meeting up or whatever. They have their way of doing it, but it's definitely there. The money's there. How could there not be? How could there not be?
You billionaires want to protect their money.
They want to protect the money. They want to have control. They want to organize. They have a plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for something as important as the Federal Reserve, which is what controls the United States, the United States money, which is the powerhouse of the world.
Yeah.
And you want to organize everything into a centralized banking system, which is what became the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Would you not wipe out the 3 people who control the European banking systems who are in opposition of your plan to...
I mean, I would figure out how to, beat them. I also have a soul. I also don't want to murder anybody.
Well,
I have no desire for death. I think that's a really sad thing, and I would cry. And I don't like crying.
It
I
definitely
wouldn't
raises
do it.
questions. It definitely makes you go, when you have that much money and that much power and that much influence, and you have a design in mind, and there are people out there who have just about as much power as you do, who don't believe in your idea, the easiest and most efficient way to execute your plan is to take out the competition, right?
Hey, I mean, I get it. I hear you. And I think it's a good theory. I'm so sad that if it's true, there are people out there who are that soulless or that evil.
Probably the same people who are rounding up the dolphins and
The
cutting their
mass
flippers
murders.
off.
Yes.
You know
That's
what I mean?
so mean. It's so mean. I just don't like how sad the world is.
It's a very,
I don't
very,
like how mean people are.
It's a very, very sad place.
We're rounding the end of our podcast. We're about at 40 minutes. Was there anything either of you needed to touch on conspiracy theory wise?
Well, now I've been put on the spot.
Well, or Danny, was there something you've been given a microphone and a camera? Is there anything you want to tell the world?
I think shot blue tuna spearfishing when you want to buy wetsuits or spear guns.
Are you promoting yourself right now?
No, it's not my company. It's my buddy Matt's
He's
company.
plugging.
Yeah, you gotta get it in when you can get it in. You know what I'm saying? And so shot blue tuna spearfishing.
They'll take you to go see
Yeah,
megalodons.
they'll tell you to go see megalodons.
No, Danny is scared of sharks and won't let us go chumming, even though I'm pretty sure chumming is illegal.
It is.
Oh, is it time for a fishtail?
Oh, please.
Okay, you can tell one fish
Is it
tail.
one fishtail?
One fish. Make it your best one.
My best one.
Yeah.
You got, yeah.
Okay.
Danny
Okay.
got stories. Danny,
We got stories.
Danny's
Danny's
got
always
so
got
many
stories.
stories.
So
He lives on a boat. How could he not?
I was out lobster diving last season,
Yes.
and living here in Channel Islands,
Mm-hmm.
we have a break wall off of our harbor.
Okay.
And so when people don't want to go with me, I would go by myself. And so it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm lobster. I got to get my lobster fix, right? So I kayak out to the break wall, and I swim around to the front side, and I'm diving, catching bugs. It's hot. Getting lobsters, stuffing them in the bag.
It's hot?
It's hot.
Like the water?
Diving, like the diving's hot, like it's hot. It's
okay.
right
Like a
for the
hot
plucking,
spot.
it's a hot spot.
Okay.
So I catch my limit. I swim back to my kayak. As I'm kayaking back in, I pass by Harbor Patrol, which usually goes out and they'll do a round around the break wall and they'll come back in. And I was the only person out there that night. And the next morning, I go to pay my liveaboard fees.
Yeah.
And when I went into the office, I was like, Danny Ball, D11, blah, 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 blah. I want to pay my fees. And they look at me and they're like, yellow kayak? I was like, yeah. And they're like, you were out last night? And I was like, yeah. what's going on? And then he got like white. And he was like, I was on patrol last night. And I was like, yeah, I saw you. And he's like, I saw you. And he was like, I want to tell you something. I was like, what do you want to tell me? And he was like, phosphorescence was in the water that night.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's when the bioluminescence is there and everything kind of glows green when you move through it. And so he told me that right after I had passed by him and kayaked in, he saw something glowing in the water and it was swimming towards him. And it got close enough and he saw a big dorsal fin. It was a great white shark. And it swam underneath his boat as it came up on his boat. And he said tip to tip off its dorsal fins was wider than the boat. And so those skiffs, I was like, those skiffs are like 8 feet wide. And he was like, I know.
Oh my God.
And that was on the outside of the breakwall. You know, I'll go 40 yards, 50 yards off the breakwall into the open ocean, you know, into 40, 50 feet of water.
And it's pitch black down there,
and
right?
It's pitch black, you know.
You just have your little flashlight.
I just have my flashlight. So you're down there and you can't see shit. You know, all you see is where your light's shining. So
Right.
it's like go into a dark room, in a pitch black room, and take a little flashlight and turn it on, and all you can see is what you're looking at. You know.
Mm-mm.
And so he was like, "This was right after you swam in.
So you were swimming with this great white.
I was out there
Massive.
when that white was out there.
No.
He was probably just watching you the whole time.
He probably fucking was."
He's like, oh, there goes Diver Dan.
And we only dive at night, you know, and he was probably like, you're not quite a snack, you know. I mean, I'm a snack, you know, but I'm not like a snack,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so
Dude.
that was one of the scariest
And
times.
you'll still go dive at night though?
Well, lobster's delicious,
Oh my God.
and they're pretty smart. Did you know that lobsters technically can't die?
What?
They cannot die. We haven't.
I mean, you kill them all the time.
I mean,
bro.
you kill them. You can kill them, but they're basically immortal, like a jellyfish. Like a jellyfish will live forever.
How
Are you
do
aware
the
of
lobsters
this?
die then?
Are you aware of this?
No, I'm not aware of any of
So
this. I
jelly-
don't research things.
Jellyfish don't die unless you like
Kill them.
blender them. You know, like with a prop, like a prop. of a
Right,
boat,
right,
you know?
right.
They'll technically live forever, and the same thing is true with lobsters. You know, like if you were to take a lobster and you were to cut off half of its legs, it would regenerate the knuckles. It would regenerate the limbs, and
So they don't die of old age?
they technically don't die of old age.
What do they technically die of?
Me. Other people like
so
me.
you're saying lobsters will not die unless murdered?
Undisturbed, left to their own devices, lobsters will technically live forever.
What's the longest recorded life of a lobster?
I think like 130 years.
Why aren't
we don't know.
Like
we haven't-
studying how to like
We just
implant
started.
this
We
into
just
humans.
started studying.
Okay, yeah.
130 years ago?
Well, that's like the longest one that we have so far. Lobsters are a really interesting thing.
How do you
lobsters-
carbon date a lobster?
How do you carbon date a lobster? So lobsters used to be like back on the East Coast before we started expanding west. Lobsters were in such a surplus; it was poor people food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
And there was such an abundance. And this is like recorded knowledge. There was such an abundance of them that you could walk up to any shore on the East Coast and pull lobsters off the beach.
Oh.
Wow.
Right? They were all over the place. And so they would take the lobsters, and it was poor people food, you know, indentured servant food. They would slave food. They would take them, they would emulsify them, and they would just make like a lobster paste.
Ew.
And that's what they would feed them because there was such an abundant food source. And so the reason how lobsters became a delicacy was the
Marketing.
Close. It was responsible to the expanse of the Western movement of the railroads. As railroads started moving further and further west, seafood became a delicacy to all of these rich clientele that would, you know, rent out these super expensive coaches, and they were like, I want to go to the west. I want to see what's out there. And so then they started. They came up with refrigeration units and.
So when they're in the middle of like Kansas,
when they're in the
they
middle of
wanted
Kansas,
a lobster.
They didn't start with lobster, but they wanted their clams, they wanted their fish, and so they started taking lobster with them, and that's how the chefs involved for this high class clientele would start experimenting with lobsters, and that's how lobsters became a delicacy. was because of the railroad system.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're full of all the information.
It's a fun
Love it.
fact. Yeah.
Anything
Lobster
to
fun
do
fact.
with sea life, I think you know.
Yeah. I know a lot. I'm no marine biologist, but I hope they bring the otters back.
I like otters.
Otters used to be here.
Would you eat an otter? This
No.
episode is what would Danny eat?
I would.
God.
I would. No.
They're too cute.
They're too cute. I mean, they're super furry. They're super like. I would wear chinchilla underwear if I could. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Like imagine like chinchilla socks.
No.
It's the softest.
Your feet would get so
Dude,
sweaty.
chinchillas are really soft though. Like I didn't know that until about a couple years ago. I held one and I was like, "This is like heaven."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I own one?
No.
I don't. You
No.
should get one. You have to give them. You have to give them a bath of like dust.
Yeah.
They take dust bath.
If they get wet, they mold and die.
I follow this account on Instagram where it's just chinchillas. This lady with her chinchillas.
I need to watch this.
It's the best. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
It's the best, and it's just these chinchillas, and just like they make them hold things, like they
I
grab
love
them
this.
and they just like hold stuff.
Would you eat a chinchilla?
I would not eat a chinchilla.
Not enough meat.
Not enough. I
Not
don't
so
think they don't
smart.
seem
They're not
that
very
smart.
smart.
Pretty
They don't
dumb.
seem that smart.
Pretty dumb.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, I think we're going to end this. Thank you, Danny, for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun. This was
Good.
great.
Yeah, you just get to talk. That's all
Yeah,
this is.
this is pretty good.
Emily, did you have fun?
Oh my God, this was the best.
Okay,
yeah, I love
fantastic.
this.
Please subscribe and follow. Thank you guys for watching. I love you and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Rachel Uncensored, the only place on the internet where you can find the uncensored version of me, Rachel Ballinger. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, or follow, or do whatever this platform tells you to do so that you can get notified every time I post a new episode. Love ya.